Okay, we're going live a little bit early because we've had technical problems. I seem to have overcome them this evening, but I'm not going to stop the live. I'm just going to go. So we're going to start at 8 o'clock as scheduled. And in the meantime, I'm going to be sharing on the other different platforms or getting ready to share. And so tonight we're going to be, so this session is for grown-ups. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock London time. So if you want sessions specifically aimed at children and you are east of here, west of here, then you can do the replay tomorrow, and this session will be appropriate for older learners and adults. The younger learners, we're going to start tomorrow's session with an activity specific for younger learners. The activity is aimed at high end of primary, sort of the transition between primary and secondary, so between elementary and lower middle school, lower middle school, whatever you get after elementary, around the ages of 8 to 12. And let me see, going to find, so I'm just sharing. So welcome if you've found us, if you're joining us, you're very welcome. We start in 5 minutes. We're not starting yet. I'm just allowing myself a little bit of leeway to do the sharing without being under so much pressure and actually starting on time for a change. So is that me though? That's not me. That's not me. Yes, I forgot. I would really need to start with this image so that then I can find the live. At the moment, I'm not finding the lives because they all look the same. So today I've got this on. My hair is starting to show the effects of, oh, that's definitely not me. I mean, yes, it is me, but it's not tonight. So I'm glad I'm doing this because I'm not finding the live to share. Maybe I can find it on my computer. Let's have a look. Let's see. Maybe I can find it on here. Here we go. Now, see if I can find it on here. Sooner or later, I'll find it. Oh yes, I can look on here maybe for the group instead. And we've got 4 minutes left before we go live. Today's activity is all about squares. It's a bit like the game of more checkers. Chess takes a little bit longer to learn, but it's one of those games that's it's very quick to learn. There's actually got a lot of depth, and it's been running on the AIMSEC Facebook page all week, several days from last week, so about a week, and still nobody's got the full amount of squares. It's all about finding squares. So it's a nice challenge, and it's a nice challenge for all ages. And if I just concentrate for a second, I will actually find what I'm looking for. How is it on here? Did it come up on here? Ah, beautiful, there it is. So that's that. So with this, we can share onto my profile. Boom, that one's got it. Share. And with this one, hopefully we can do a watch party. So between, hello, welcome. We've got a viewer. I'm just getting ready a few minutes early. I managed to get started, get it all working, and I didn't want to stop because I thought, well, I'm going to test it, but then I don't want to bring it down. This morning I wasn't able to get live using the Zoom, which means I can't use this visualizer, which means it's the experience is so much better if we're using the visualizer than if we're using the mobile. And I'm going to say I've saved that. How many squares? Post. That's that one. And then what I've learned is if you do a watch party, the watch party stops. So let's see if I can find this and do a watch party. it's fun with a watch party. But once the watch party is finished, the watch party is finished. So, but I'm still not finding the live. So I can see it there, play. From last week, so there we go, we don't need that. Don't need to hear myself twice, that's really confusing. Let's see if I can find it on here. So it's not coming up on the phone yet. Ah, there it is, found it. Share. See, I thought I licked it this morning. I thought I worked it out this morning. Is that the one that's on? Right, let's see if I can find it on here. Ah, so I don't have it on the phone. Okay, start watch party. There we go, sorted. And the time is 7:59. Hooray! So, just a few moments. I don't want to share it in a group. I want to share it on my timeline for the watch party, because it's already been shared in other places. And for how many squares? Start. Okay, I think I've got it shared on everywhere I'm supposed to have it shared. Now my challenge is to make sure I can see the comments. I don't see them there. Am I going to see comments here? See more comments. So I'm hoping it's the watch party where all the comments will come. Oh, Terry's here. Hello, Terry. Thank you for joining. And right, well, it's 8 o'clock, so let's get started. Thank you for bearing. Well, I started early so that we would, so that it would work more efficiently and actually get started on time. Start early so I can get started on time. Yeah, it takes a while to share everything. So I'm learning slowly but surely. It's all coming together. So tonight we are preparing for tomorrow. So it's evolving. This is an evolving feast. So what we're doing is preparing for how many squares, and it's all based around these little dotted squares. And so tonight we're just preparing. So what I want you to do is, I'm just going to go get the links now. I'm going to share these links. I'm going to share the link. Woo! It's not quite what I meant to do. I'm going to share this on the Facebook group. I think that's where I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it on the page, on the Bubbly Maths page. If I put them all on there, I don't want to leave the watch party. No, I don't want to do that. Blind leading the blind. Oh my goodness. As long as this is actually the perfect example. So my raison d'être, I've discovered that my life's purpose is to help make sure that children love learning and enjoy mathematics. Not everybody does. Now, some people don't understand that. I do, because I actually have always struggled with maths. And I was really fortunate. I think it's because we did lots of puzzles when we played games. What we played, of course, at my age, we played physical games. We didn't have computers. So it was all card games and puzzles and problems to solve and actual physical puzzles, chess. I was never very good at chess. I was still not. I'm teaching my grandson, which is fun. But the point is that I always enjoyed maths. So I've got this challenge going on here. It's how to handle a constantly changing technology, one that I wasn't, as a lot of adults, certainly my generation and older and younger too, it's not something that we are used to. So I'm demonstrating how I can actually enjoy struggling through a problem. And I've just put the resource on the Bubbly Maths on the main share, the place that the main share is happening. Now, on that page, I'll actually put it on all of I'll put it in the group, and I'll put it on my profile as well. On that page is all these resources. So we've got dots. So what ideally we want you to print those out in the morning, in well, whenever you watch the next one. So the next one I do, which will be recorded at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, it'll be live 9 o'clock tomorrow morning London time, so that's 13 hours from now. It will, ideally you'll have this page, and this page either printed out, or I understand that not everybody has a printer, so it's just, those are 25 dots, those are 16 dots, and those are 9 dots. So that's all you actually need, that and some colors ideally. So that's what you'll need for the morning, and I'll just take you through what we're going to do. So now I'm going to, in the morning, I'll start with a 3 by 3 because we're going to be doing something for the younger learners, and so that they can have something to do. And you know what, if you've got younger learners, I mean super young, like 4, 5, even 3, print one out for them, give it to them, and let them have at it and talk about squares, count the amount of size of the squares. But what we're going to do for the activity, well, actually we could start. Let's start with this. Let's start with the 3 by 3. Yeah, basically 3 by 3. What we want to do is find 6 squares. So I'm going to bring it down here. Yeah, hence the visualizer. I'm just going to change the screen so that I can see what I'm doing. Whoa, that's not, I don't want that. I guess that touched the keyboard. Okay, so let's take that one there. I'm going to start with that one there. And what we want to do is find 6 squares. Can you find 6 squares? Let's see. 6 squares. Right, well, I can see there's one obvious one. There's, oh, see, look, it's even wobbly. I can't even draw a square, and that's one. Now I'm going to use a different color. There's different types of squares. They're all squares. A square is a square is a square. Now I did have 2 other colors. Sorry, they're over here. That's it. Sorry about that. Now we're going to draw. Let me see. There's another type of square I can see here. 1, 2, 4 sides to a square. So I've got 4 little squares. I've got 1 big one. So that's, I've got 4 red ones. Got 1 light blue one. So that's 5 squares. What could the 5th square possibly be? Well, there is another square, and it is here. So that's the simplest puzzle. And so that one is, we've got one of those, and that makes a total of, I've got that the right way around, I hope, because I'm writing it upside down. So we've got 6 squares. So I'm showing you that tonight. I'm not going to show it in the morning. Well, I will eventually show it in the morning, but so we will have the younger learners find those 6 squares. And then the challenge gets a little bit more interesting. Now, with this one, again, just like I've colored them in different colors, there are different types of squares that you can find on here. So using the same color scheme, we've got that square. We've got 3 by 3 square. We've got it's still 1 by 1, but because it's tilted, the dimensions are different, but it's still a square. Those are still all 90 degrees. And then what color is going to give us a contrast here? We've got another one. We've got an even bigger one here. So I think we're going to be quite satisfied in saying there's only one that's 4 by 4. So you can then say how many 1 by 1s, how many 2 by 2s, and then how many of the tilted 1 by 1s. And then there's another question. Are there any others? We need to find all the squares in the 4x4, and then the next challenge is to find all the squares in a 5x5. And I will be leaving that challenge with you tomorrow, but hopefully we will find tomorrow during the activity all of the ones on a 4x4. So if you want to be working on that overnight, not for me overnight, for you it might not be overnight, then please have at it. Then, and in the meantime, I'm going to, that's the activity. So it's simple, as you can see, super simple, but it's actually beautiful mathematically. And one of the essences of mathematics is to prove, to be systematic, and to prove that you have actually found all the possibilities, that you have actually proven that you have found all the squares, for example. That is, and you do it by being systematic and being analytical. So, and using a manipulative. So whoopsie, there's no reason why actually drawing it out and using different colors helps with the system being systematized. Hold on, I've just got to retrieve my bits of paper here. Got my bits of paper here. Okay, so now these resources are being created by, well, they already have been created. The game's already been created. It was the founder of AINSEC, which is the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, is an extraordinary person who, first of all, created a website called Enrich, which a lot of schools all around the world, a lot of basically every maths educator worth their salt uses the Enrich website, and it's a really great website. If you've got a young mathematician that's either struggling or needs to be stretched, if you use the Enrich website, there's lots of activities there that can, if they explore them, it can really stretch their minds and take them, keep them challenged. If they, especially if you have a young learner that is a bit bored with the activities they have in school, just keep feeding them activities from the Enrich website. And one of the things I do is I let them search themselves for something that they find engaging. So then, and they can spend hours and hours working on an activity. And then there will be questions where you can help encourage them by asking questions. And the reason why I'm doing this right now in particular is to help adults with children that are learning maths at home, and that can be a particular problem that has its own particular problems. And the essence of what you can do to help any child that's learning at home, especially, well, no, actually there's two cases, two kind of cases at opposing ends of the spectrum. One is the grown-up that really actually understands all the math that's going on and wants to explain it all, and perhaps doesn't, there's a whole science, there's a whole skill of helping facilitate the learning of maths, and it's not by explaining it. Now, if your young learner just gets it just like that, it's because they have connected the dots. If they're not connecting the dots and you're getting frustrated, going, why don't you understand it? I've explained it a gazillion times and you just don't understand it, going on in your head, not necessarily saying it. It's because understanding maths isn't the same as having it explained to you. And if it's not clicking for them, then the best thing you can do is ask questions and not give explanations. Now, at the other end of the scale, you've got those grown-ups that are hesitant, that had problems with maths themselves, that have fear maths, have anxiety about maths. It doesn't have to be fully-fledged fear, or they just felt that they were bad at maths and feel they can't do it. Now, you may have had a negative experience in school, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that the science, the skill of facilitating the learning of maths is something that's is evolving, and it's something that many, many teachers were not trained in. And certainly when I was in school, the teachers that taught me certainly weren't trained in that way. And I never learned that. I have never been a teacher. I was an electronic engineer, so that wasn't part of my experience. But the teachers that are teaching children now, there are many wonderful teachers. It is a vocation. Teaching really is a vocation. It is a labor of love. And I absolutely take my hat off to every teacher around the globe, and most especially to the ones who haven't been equipped with the skill of helping facilitate the learning of maths. So, in other words, what all that boils down to is there is nothing wrong with you. Whether you're at one end of the spectrum, you understand it all and you want to explain it all, or whether you're at the other end of the spectrum where you don't understand anything and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to help this child? What you do is you ask questions. You ask them to explain to you what they understand it to be, and you work it out together. And by doing activities like this is what you're going to benefit from it. I'm just going to read it. Look at that. We've got some nice challenges on here. And this doesn't have to be like what you see in the maths classroom, but it's nonetheless absolutely learning. So we're identifying all the different types of squares. You're being systematic, which is a skill that is useful for any area of any learning, really. And so you're counting, you're recording. Recording is the way I've recorded along here. Very, very basic recording there. But I was recording so that we're not going back and having to count it again and again. We're keeping a systematic recording. If you do it on a separate piece of paper, you can, another nice way of doing it is, I just get a piece of paper here. You can, like, oh, I've already used that one. Reusing scrap paper. Waste not, want not. Here we go, we can use this one. I started using this earlier. So you can have a table where you can say we've got a 3x3, or you can draw a physical representation of it. Sorry, visualizer, that's what the visualizer's for. Here we go. So you can have that, and then you can have a table against that that shows you've got that type of square, and you had 4 of those. You had the tilted square, you had one of those, and then you had the 2x2 square, and you had one of those. So you can whereas, and then when you get to the 4x4, you can do the same kind of chart. In other words, it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be sophisticated, as in it just needs to represent. You just need to record it. And then as you get to the 5x5, you start seeing patterns. If you go from the 3x3 to the 4x4, you can go, oh, well, this has got that many more, but you can't connect them. There's from one to another. There's no way of seeing a pattern. You can get theories. You can think, well, that might be a pattern. It might be double that or whatever. But once you get to the 5x5 and then you go on to a 6x6, you can literally start spotting patterns. So how many of those have you got? How many of those have you got? How many of those have you got? And then what other ones have you got? And record. No, we then had the 4x4. So 4x4. Can't do it. It's not working. It's not a square, but that would be. You can make a physical representation of it. Okay, so a 3x3. Hello. Yes, 3 dots, 4 dots. It is that. It is that. I'm going crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. That's fine. There we go. We'll just fill that in. It is that. It's just that the dots is different to the lines. There you go. So and it's okay if that happens. That's the story of my life, and that's okay. It's okay if things go wrong, and this is why we reflect. This is why we double check. This is why if you do a multiplication or a division, you then double check, go the other way to make sure you've got the answer right. Because if you've gone wrong somewhere along the line, you double check, checks and balances. This is why you estimate. You think, well, if it's going to be in the order of 3,000, and you get an answer that's 3 million or 3, then you know you're way off track. Or if you think it's going to be about 3,000 and you get 9,000, think, okay, well, there's either I've done my estimate wrong, or I've done the calculation wrong. In which case, you know to double check your answers, and it checks and balances. It's quality assurance. It's all it is, and that works in all areas of life. It works in a hair colorist, someone doing hair, or a nurse dispensing medication. If it looks wrong, you think, well, I should be giving this person 2 of these pills. Why does it say 4 here? You could save a person's life just by doing those little calculations and doing your estimates beforehand, and save damage to their kidneys. With hair, you could save a person's hair on their head or get the color right, because it will. I worked out 6, but 6 minutes doesn't sound right. It should be more like 20 minutes. It's practical things like that. Just doing those little pre-estimates work. And so why do the activity? I'm just going to read this. This puzzle helps learners to develop problem solving and visualization skills. Now, problem solving and visualization skills are absolutely critical. They're critical in life. Problem solving is something we all have to do in some way, shape or form every day of our lives, really. Some problems are bigger than others. And then visualization skills, why are they so important? If you can visualize a problem, in other words, if you can make a mental representation of any problem, whether it's doing geometry in secondary school, in high school, if you've been able to, I did this morning, if you're able to pick the representation of something and then visualize it, so you can play with it, the physical representation, so that when you get to the age where everything's presented to you on a flat piece of paper, and you've got these 3D diagrams on a flat piece of paper, but in your head, you can visualize what it actually looks like. And then you can actually, in your imagination, look around it and really see a representation of what you're being asked. And so visualization skills are super important, and it helps you, if you're ever going, okay, now if I could do this, and let me see, well, we could invite 50 people to the party, but they're not all going to fit in the room. So, and also, and you can just go through the process of, and what about the budget? And what about this? This is all actually visualizing. Going through the process of working out real life problems, it's visualizing. You are visualizing it. And the activity is a low threshold, high ceiling. You can adapt it for any age. Tomorrow morning, we are going to do a version of it. And that could actually be a page full of dots for a 3-year-old, and just let them have at it. And then as they're making things, just use the conversation, talk about, oh, that looks like a square. How many sides has it got? And count the sides. And you can make art out of it. So you can have literally a whole page covered in dots. You can get download dot paper on the internet, or use square paper. You can buy pads and things. You can have pads with square paper, or download it off the internet as well. And so that's low threshold, high ceiling. Low threshold being no matter where your young learner have reached, what attainment level they've reached, no matter if they've got any challenges or anything, there is a level at which they will be able to engage with this activity. So let's say you've got the whole family sitting around a table doing this activity, everyone on the table can engage at some level. And that's got a low threshold and a high ceiling. You get to this, and it is a lot harder to find all the squares, and it's something that the whole family could do as a challenge. And if you haven't found them yet, you can keep at it for a week, which is what the challenge on the AIMSEC Facebook page has been doing all week. And and it can be done as a big group, so many learners can make a contribution. So you can use a big piece of flip chart paper to record each new solution. So you can have it look stuck on the wall, make a poster, have it stuck on the wall and record. So somebody could write a new one in and then record on the side what they've added so that everyone can keep tabs of what's going on. And then, yeah, and then you can print out, well, it's giving a clue here. The clue is use 8 sheets, and on each of the 8 sheets, write so whereas here, they've, I'm overlapping them, I'm using different colors. You could actually use, we've got 1, 2, whoopsie, 3 different types of squares. You could have had one type only on there, one type only on there, and one type only on there. So they're all separated out, which helps you spot them all. So, and there's a clue on the 5x5. You need 8 sheets, which means I'll let you decide what that means. And it can be used to reinforce the concept of area. So this is a 2x2. That's a 1. Have you got that? That's a 2x2. That's a 1x1. So that's a nice little thing, actually, just looking at that. So if you've got, oh, let's bring the visualizer. Hello, that's why we've got the visualizer. Can you see that? Right, so that is a 1x1 square. We'll call it a unit square. If we wanted to double the length of each edge, what would happen to the area? So this is an area of 1, it's 1 unit edge length, it's 1 square unit area, so it's a 1 unit square. If we're going to double the edge length, we're scaling it up by a factor of 2 in length, so now we've got a total of 2 edge length, 2 units. What's going to happen to the area? Is the area going to double because we're doubling the edge length? What is that even going to look like? We can draw it. So each edge is going to be 2 units long. So that one's going to be that long, that one's going to be that long, that one's going to be that long. So now we can actually draw out all the squares. So whilst we've doubled the edge length, we started with 1 square unit. How many square units have we got now? 1, 2, 3, 4. So by doubling every edge, and you've got to double every edge, not just one edge, you have squared the length. So you've gone 2 squared. So if you had only doubled one of the edges and the other one hadn't been doubled, then you would be literally doubling the area, and you can see it. You'd have just done double the area, so it would have been 1 times 2. You've got 2 square units. There's 1, there's 2. So that give you double 2 squared. But if you're actually scaling it up so that the shape stays the same, so it's still a square, then you literally squared the area, and edge length is times 2, and the area, so that's 2 in length, and the area is 2 times 2, 2 times 2, 2 squared. So this is a very, very basic way of helping someone understand area. So there's lots and lots of, now what else can you do here? The last thing is, understanding that the formula for the area of a triangle is derived from half the area of an enclosed rectangle. So the formula for a triangle, which is half the base times the height, is actually derived from the area of a rectangle. Now, we're not going to go through that, but this exercise can help with that. So we're not going to cover that right now. But it just goes to show that all of this, and this resource here, we'll now talk about the resource again, is a resource which is easy to understand. It's got other resources that lead on from it, and this is all available on the Aiming High website. Now, so Bubbly Maths is working, we're producing we're doing these lives. I'm basically representing Bubbly Maths, producing these lives, and to help people learning at home. And Aiming High, we support AIMSEC and Aiming High. We support them in going out to Africa and helping. What they do is they provide professional development for teachers in rural communities in Africa. And these resources were originally written for those teachers, because those teachers are so isolated, and they're still learning those skills of facilitating the learning of mathematics. These resources are written in a way that is helpful for them to understand. And then the teacher resources have been modified again to help home learning. And so this is specifically a home learning activity designed for you to be able to take it and follow it. And the lives, the videos that I'm making, probably Maths is making for AIMSEC and Aiming High, is designed to help you give it an extra level. And one thing we are also doing is we're creating these lives, and the videos that we're creating every day now are going to go on the Bubbly Maths YouTube channel. And in addition to that, there's the Maths Toys YouTube channel. On the Maths Toys YouTube channel, each of these resources, there's already about 6 up there, but each of these resources will have a much more concise, formal video where you will be able to follow this sheet, follow the YouTube video, and really get some very hopefully useful help to facilitate the activities with your learners at home and enhance their mathematical experience. It's what it's all about. It's not explanations, it's actually having them have insights and have inductive learning that they work out for themselves with the help of a few questions, rather than, and with family activities, because as I say, these are all low threshold, high ceiling. Family activities can be very, very powerful. They can help the older learners to really get a better understanding of what they themselves need to know, and it helps the younger learners to have a good foundation in their mathematical learning. So please do go visit the YouTube channels, and please do subscribe, because we don't have 100 subscribers yet on either one of those channels. It's a new, these are new activities. And once we have 100 subscribers, we'll be able to change the channel, so it'll actually be called on the URL Bubbly Maths, and it'll be called it'll be called Maths Toys. And I'm going to put all these links on the AIMSEC Facebook page. That's got activities. They're just little samples, little snippets of activities that you can just go in and get inspiration from every day. And then there's the Making Maths Fun for Kids of All Ages Facebook group that Bubbly Maths runs, which is doing these twice daily lives to help people around the world with their home learning. And that's why we do one in the morning at 9 o'clock and one in the evening, so that people east of here can do them in the morning, and the people west of here can do them in the evening. And if you want we do the one specifically aimed at the young learners in the morning, and specifically aimed at the adults in the evening, and you can watch the replays. Thank you for joining us. Please do join the Facebook page, the group, like the Facebook pages, and subscribe to the YouTube channels. That would be so valuable to us. And I'm getting a phone call. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the morning.